All right, welcome in Hanna Time on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Cornelius Brad Hanna. Got a lot to talk about. Some headline breaking news story coming down right now. In baseball, your MVPs have been announced about 5-10 minutes ago or so. NFL breaking news throughout the day, and then we're going to get into a lot of NFL stuff, more baseball, and lots of other global sports around. It's just a ton of things. This is going to be a fun, informative show throughout. Mark Mancini jumps in here in about 45 minutes or so, and we'll talk more about tonight's game, Packers, Tennessee Titans. So hang in with me. We're going to give you a 30-second countdown to kind of get yourself ready for a big one tonight, all right? Are you with me? Let's do it. Hanna. Welcome back in Hanna Time on Global Sports Broadcasting Network and across many venues of social media too. I will get through in that in a minute, and mostly my sponsors are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Just follow along and check them out too along the way. You can look them up. Come on, we know what we're doing here on the social media side of the world. But first and foremost, I do want to get into something that really was a long time ago, about who was going to be MVP of baseball. And we pretty much had a feeling for it, but a lot of people like to throw their stuff in, mess it all up and try to put another factor involved. Well, all those factors to take away the MVP of Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals, and Aaron Judge, stop it. It's over. Enough said. They are the MVPs of the National League and Paul Goldschmidt, and of the American League, Aaron Judge. They were the best all year long. They did everything with their glove, leadership, on the field, hitting the ball, monstrous offensive numbers. Both these guys putting up career stuff, especially Aaron Judge. You can't say enough what he went through and what he pulled off, and how tired he was just to get to 60 and 61 and getting to 62. They are deserving MVPs itself. These are the two guys that we're talking about on the screen. They are your MVPs of the American League and National League. Goldschmidt, the former Arizona Diamondback. Been a few years now, but he is still shining. I even got a bobblehead of Paul Goldschmidt. Now it's got some value, I think. Hey. And we got a baseball, Aaron Judge baseball laying around here. So the value of these things, if you're owning stuff, it helps. It does help. But these two are very deserving. I mean, you can't say enough what Aaron Judge did all year long in the big spotlight of New York, right? To be able to continue to do that day in, day out, even with the slumping months that the Yankees had. This guy kept them alive. Kept them in first place when things got down to 3.5 games. And Paul Goldschmidt, without his bat, really don't know where the Cardinals offense would have been, and the season they had and how they finished. Yes, it wasn't the finish what they wanted, but the season they had, a lot has to do with Goldschmidt. Without his bat and run production, just like Aaron Judge, who knows where these both teams would have been, right? You can put it all together. But they definitely are the MVPs, and rightly so. And I'm happy that the voters did the right thing. We don't have a couple of schmucks out there who actually just, dislikes the Aaron Judge or the Yankee pinstripes, or is a Cardinal hater, things like that. You get these writers and people who vote for the MVP, and they just have these personal stuff involved, and they just can't be unbiased, right? And I'm so happy they got it right. They threw a lot of Ohtani stuff, and the guy was great for what he can do, but through and throughout the season, and to lead your team into the playoffs like both these guys did. Ohtani did not do that. And in the American National League, yeah, there were some threats, but Paul Goldschmidt, the guy was just a monster. So give them both a big, good job. The MVPs of the National League and the American League, Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt. All right. Wanted to get that out of the way. That was the big story, but we're going to talk about the naked truth today. Yes. What I mean, we're going to unravel a lot of things, unclose a lot of things today on Hanna Time Sports TV podcast right here. Fans can join the show with the link that is in the post that whatever venue you're on right now. Look for that post, grab it, link it, jump in. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind, and just click it, and you'll be on camera. So just be ready. We're going to talk about Tom Brady and everything that went on with his retirement, and then unretiring, and then the divorce stuff and all that. It was a drama-filled summer of Tom Brady. He's missing for 2 weeks from the Buccaneers camp, and the divorce stuff. And Tom Brady is undefeated now since the divorce. But we'll talk about that. We're going to kind of get a little bit Hollywood gossip nonsense in there. And we're going to talk about the playoff picture. Yeah, we can start talking about the NFL playoff possibilities, teams that are in the playoffs for now, right? A lot of can happen. But the team that you're rooting for, and on the outside looking in, what is your path to get there? We'll talk about that. Mexico, football, another football game in Mexico City. That is Monday night. Cardinals, Niners, that do it for the second time out there. The NFL Players Association complaining, making a big complaint to the NFL about 6 stadiums, their turf, not grass, that fake stuff, right? That they're very concerned about injuries. The NFL responds back about, nothing to worry about here. The numbers show this, but the NFL Players Association are not happy because they feel like their players are in danger on 6 football fields. We'll talk about one in particular that made a big statement about defending themselves. More Major League Baseball stuff, something I want to throw out there, because all over sports, they're always talking about metrics, right? The metric, the math, the Harvard, Yale, Stanford dude or female that is sitting there and thinks they got it all figured out in sports and how to match things up. But it's not the competition of what is the emotion, right? What is the in-game strategy as going on? You want to do mechanical stuff, or is it a feel? Right? Athletes have this tremendous ability to trust and know what they know in game situations. Basketball, football, baseball, hockey. Instinctive. That separates greatness. And there's too much of this metrics. Derek Jeter speaks loud about this in his dislike of metrics in his sport that he loves, baseball, but it's across all of sports, right? And I'm with Derek on this. I've always been really not on this metric path. It has its value, but the weight of it is just way too much. And I believe it's hurting not only the athlete, but the team itself for succeeding. Rely on the ability of the instinct of athlete out there who knows the game so well that you are throwing a monkey wrench in there, and now they get mechanical. We'll talk more about Derek Jeter. Pete Rose, is he back in baseball? He's pleading to get back in because of what's been going on. Gambling in baseball. They got casinos, they got sports books at stadiums, right? Pete Rose is back in a big way opening day. I got to bring this story about him and how the closeness of this gambling thing, it's wild. And what he's going to do. Maybe this is the big step. Cincinnati, you're in the news today with this Pete Rose story. World Cup soccer is here. It's finally arrived. Big weekend. The American team taking on Wales. And it's just, we're going to break it down a little bit. There's no Italy involved, which is for the second time in a row. Italy is not in the World Cup. Shocking, but what happens there, that's another story. But who's in it? Who's to win it? Sometimes we think we got it all figured out when it comes to the World Cup, but we'll have to wait and see. But we'll talk more about the World Cup. Vegas is the sports town that is becoming the best sports town in sports, or all of sports globally, or it's right on the track of it, because now Formula One, the Vegas is getting Formula One, and wow, the setup on the strip, the photos, the imaging of it, fantastic. We'll talk about that. Also, some stories about the Phoenix Suns and their beautiful New Jerseys. They broke out. We watched it last night. They beat the Golden State Warriors. This Native American, it's a celebration of Native American. 22 nations of that here in Arizona. The uniform itself, will break it down for you a little bit, and I think it's just something well deserved. Not only in Arizona, I hope that other states that have NBA teams and other sports teams will recognize the Native American and all their tribes, and putting them all somewhere on a uniform, right? I think it's just, with all the politics going on, I'm so happy for the Phoenix Suns in the state that I live in, Arizona, was able to be the first one out. It makes sense. Navajo Nation is the largest. It's big here, right? But there's 22 of them here. I like to see all of them across our country of ours. Every sports team starting to recognize this more and more, for many reasons. And even as we get closer to Thanksgiving, for people's beliefs and everything else around that storyline, it's just time. It's been way overdue. We'll talk more about that. And a very unfortunate story, but stripper golf and how it interfered with a high school golf tournament, and somebody screwed up. They had to cancel the high school golf match because of stripper golf. We'll get to that story sometime in the back end of the show. And there's more. All right. And you can watch all this right now, right here on Facebook, also, and Roku TV on the ASAP Sports Network itself. Look that up. Also, Twitch. You can find it on Twitch. Also, Global Sports Broadcasting Network on YouTube itself. Look it up. GSPN TV Sports Podcasts, Instagram, Memento Plus, Viva Network, Tiki TV, Herogotv TV, LinkedIn, and of course, Hanna Time Live Sports TV Podcast. Sponsors below. Love Always Win t-shirts, Metal One Stable Coin, Dr.REDDY, gastrologist and liver specialist here in Maricopa County, Double B Lodge in Pine Top, Arizona itself, the book A Peaceful War on Amazon, and GEED, Conscious Active Balance Women Attire, sports attire itself, clothes, right? And motion centers with high vibration crystals and chakra targeting the design itself. That's Geed.com, GEYED. Check them all out. They're scrolling at the bottom of the screen as you're watching me right now. All right, we got through all that. And we just mentioned itself, too, that Aaron Judge is the MVP of the American League, along with Paul Goldschmidt. So if you're joining us right now, there they are. And we'll move along. Another top story today is the NFL. The NFL is moving Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills game. Buffalo's been wanting a stadium. They're not really moving, but they're going to move the game. There's snow in the forecast in Buffalo, all across America, too. I mean, they're going to get pounded tonight in Denver, Colorado, and that's going to go clear across the plains into the eastern part, northeastern part of America here, United States, and Buffalo is sitting there. So the game's on Sunday. There'll be a lot of snow, a lot of weather in college, too, by the way, college football. But Buffalo is expecting about 4 to 6 feet of snow. And not only just getting to the game is a problem, getting out of the game is a problem, and all the above. So they're going to move the game, right? They're going to move this game to Detroit. Detroit is about 4.5-hour drive from Buffalo to Detroit, okay? And Cleveland's not that far off, too. So, Cleveland and Pittsburgh, was it a couple hours? So it almost benefits the Brown fans in a lot of ways, okay? Because Brown fans can actually show up in Detroit, because I don't think they're going to sell out that stadium in Detroit. So the benefit maybe lean on, I don't know how much of a factor it is because the best team on the field should be the Buffalo Bills, right? It should be the Buffalo Bills, but we don't know, right? But if you're a Cleveland Brown fan and near in that regional area, you're going to get a break because there's going to be tickets available. And the reason why we know this, here in Arizona, we've had a couple of situations like that where games have been moved to Arizona from California from fires and things like that. Mother Nature taking its course. And, even like the San Francisco 49ers during COVID, they had to play home games here in Arizona. So they don't get the chance to sell out, or at least the massive crowds of their home fans showing up, right? So now that Buffalo has to go to Detroit for a home game, okay, it's indoors. That's another reason why they wanted it, because it's indoors. And but the bottom line is the Browns fans is my point. They're going to get a chance, the Cleveland Browns fans, to make their way up there to Detroit and watch their team. And we'll see what kind of crowd reaction is. But that game can be over early. But as we know, the Buffalo Bills have lost a couple of games now in a row. And they're not even in first place right now. They're actually the 6th seed in the AFC. Yeah, remember the Buffalo Bills going to the Super Bowl. Let's go Buffalo. All right, right now they got to regroup, and Cleveland may be the best medicine they get, but Cleveland also has their quarterback of the future with all his scandal going on in Deshaun Watson. I think I got a Watson thing here somewhere for you, but Deshaun Watson is going to make his play into the Browns practice facility now. He's back on course. Okay, so Watson and the Browns, they're 3-6. So this is the whole thing. The Browns are going to put all that money in this guy, and by the time they get him, their season should be almost done. And they're 3-6, and they got to really get hot to have a shot from the outside, trying to get him. And can Watson just turn it up like he's some magical guy after really not playing football for a couple of years? This is a whole new story, but we'll catch up to that next week on the Watson, the Browns. But the Browns do take on the Buffalo Bills in Detroit with that weather condition, and we'll see how the weather is throughout. So if you're a gambling, betting person around all over the NFL and sports itself, you really got to watch the weather conditions throughout college football and the NFL this weekend and see how it all plays out, as the weather is a big storm. It's going right now. It's in the Colorado area and just Nebraska and Wyoming, and it's just going through, right? And they're pounding big time snow. So check it out. All right. So we're talking about off-season problems and the Deshaun Watson storyline. We did hear about this one. This perfect couple, right? And it's sad because everybody goes through this, at least not everybody, but a lot, right? I don't want to say everybody because I know there's some really good, strong marriages going on still. But this is one that kind of took us by surprise when stories started breaking out about their marriage. And, this is Giselle and Tom Brady. And now I'm going to throw my hat in this a little bit. I tried to avoid it for a while, but as more storylines come out, and now we see photographs of, Giselle in, was it Costa Rica somewhere, with a martial arts guy who it just didn't look right. It didn't look good. Tom's kids are in the photograph, and it's like a Hollywood photo that done almost planned, calculated kind of stuff. So it just kind of threw me off, and I said, what's going on here? Like, right? And Tom Brady is having a rebound of his season right in front of our eyes. It has begun. He's 2-0, right? So since the divorce. But let's go back a little bit. Let's kind of dial it back when everybody was speculating, and we're still going to speculate. And what's the value of it? It's just fun. It's just fun. But it just makes you think, too, about, we just never know what really goes on. But Tom retired. And was he retiring because his wife wanted him to? Or is there something going on there? Maybe his wife was seeing somebody. I thought maybe Tom was seeing somebody. It was like one of those things, right? So, and then Tom unretires. I'm back. And he's talking away. And then the news about his wife, and she's not happy. And it's either getting messier and messier. And then you're wondering about who's going to quarterback. Is Tom going to just quit? Tom was persistent. I'm sticking this through. I'm back. And you wonder why Tom was so persistent on unretiring, right? To come back. And it didn't go well. The offseason was rough. The summer was rough for Tom and his wife. and his family and all that storyline. Then Tom disappeared for 2 weeks. And remember this? He was gone for 2 weeks in the summer to be with his family or whatever it was to work it out. And, you're hoping for the best at that point because you never want to see this. But it was starting to fall apart. And Tom makes his comeback. He's back on the field. Really didn't have a whole lot of time with his teammates and getting ready for the NFL season. He doesn't look good. The team doesn't look good. But Tom somehow is like top 2, top 3 in the NFL in passing yardage, whole season. He's been still there. But he just didn't look the same, didn't sound the same, everything about him. And then the divorce came. And folks, Tom Brady is happy. He's at peace. I hope his wife's at peace. I hope their kids are at peace. I don't know. It's always hard on the kids. That's what first thing we think about, right? But there's Tom Brady. He's 2-0. Look at these numbers, folks. Tom Brady is 2-0 since the divorce. He has completed 70% of his passes. 70%, okay? 3 touchdowns and 532 yards in those 2 games. And he looked happy. Tom looked happy, okay? And if you go back before the Seattle game in Munich, Germany, his press conferences were good. Happy. Tom was talking, it was the old Tom Brady. It was the bottom line. Tom, you could feel his energy back. Feel like he got past it now. He's moved on a little bit, right? And then he goes on that field, and he goes on a road trip. And this is really important. This is why I say Tom Brady is back. And I feel like his body is fine. He looks fine. He's looking good still out there. But his mind is back. That focus, that greatness has, that focus of great players. You can see it. You saw it in Munich. You saw it in the pregame. You saw it all week, the way he was talking to the media. But the other thing that I really want to hit hard here about Tom Brady is comeback and how it's on is he needed this road trip. The timing of it was really amazing because it wasn't calculated, okay? Because Tom Brady was able to get on a plane after this divorce. He got a great win against the Rams a week earlier. The Rams a week earlier where it was a comeback. That was uplifting. Now they get on a plane. The team is happy. They feel they got a little groove. Tom had a comeback in him there, and they're on a plane, and Tom needed a family. He needed some love. Everybody does when they go through that hardship of separation, divorce, whatever it is, right? And for him to get back with his teammates, to get on a plane, to fly that far, to get into Germany and have a great time and just get away. It was a great escape for Tom Brady to get away from it all, and the fans came out. Look at this. This German fans were amazing, and they loved it. If you watch that game, okay? But Tom Brady needed this escape for his personal use, for his personal confidence, and for his personal just demeanor about where is he going next. And it's football, NFL. The team camaraderie, the unification with teammates, getting out there, feeling the energy of that stadium, the energy of Munich, the fans around him. The media was loving it. He felt in his domain again. He was back, the big stage. It was a perfect timing of everything he's been through. And then he goes out and he performs. You remember, I've been hard on Tom Brady. All the scandal stuff that went on in New England, okay? But he was able to do it in Tampa Bay, and I've enjoyed this last few years with him. And I'm more happy for him now to be able to overcome this. I'm not happy about divorces. I'm not happy about separations. I worry about kids in those situations and even his wife, whatever it is, okay? And what really happened, we can only speculate, okay? But something tells me Tom Brady, whatever it was that really spun him back into football, happened way back in winter last year when he says, I'm back. I'm not retiring. Something happened where he realized I needed to stay close to a love. I love football. And from that point on, yes, it just crumbled in his personal life, but he's back. And that German trip, that game in Germany, winning that game and looking fantastic. If you're a Buccaneer fan, man, you got to be stoked to see that guy come out with fire in his eye. It's all there. Now it's up to his teammates and the whole team itself to play together, but they may have just gotten that big jolt they needed from their leader, Tom Brady. We'll see how the Bucs do, but I want to throw my 2 cents in because this, the German fans, the singing they were doing, the celebration of NFL football all over Europe itself has been fantastic. When we're talking about this, when you're thinking about it, we got another one in Mexico, right? The NFL inaugural game was way back in 2005. The Cardinals defeated the 49ers 31-14, right? Neil Rackers. Remember Neil Rackers? He had 6 field goals in that game. That's 18 points. That's a heck of a game, right? Neil Rackers, second most in franchise history at the time, or maybe still is, right? Yeah, and tied for the most in NFL international games itself. But there's a big game Monday night, Cardinals and the 49ers. And I don't want to get to that stuff just yet, but a lot of the fans, Cardinal fans, are looking forward to it. Okay. And you got some stats and numbers about this game on Monday night for the Cardinals itself. And in the Monday night game between the Niners and the Cardinals, well, as we know, it's international stuff. The fans are over 100,000. It's going to be maybe the largest crowd ever, or it's going to tie a record, or it's going to be right up there at the top of it. This is the 4th time they're playing, or the 5th time they're playing in Mexico. We know about the 2005 game these two teams played in, won by the Cardinals. The Raiders play the Titans in 2016, 27-20. The Raiders won that game. Patriots and Tom Brady won and beat the Raiders, who made their second appearance there in 2017. And the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019 defeated the Chargers in that stadium in Mexico itself. So Estadio Azteca, as they call it. And out of all those teams that made it to Mexico, okay, the winners of those games, Kansas City Chiefs, New England Patriots, and the Oakland Raiders all advanced to the playoffs. Patriots and Chiefs advanced to the Super Bowl. The Arizona Cardinals, who won that game, did not make the playoffs. They're the only team out of that 4 group. Now the Cardinals get a second shot, but the Niners are there, and the percentages are weighing on making the playoffs. Cardinals are fighting for their lives. The Niners are just a game or so ahead of the Cardinals. This is a big implication game between these two teams. That is on Monday night in Mexico. Cardinals win. They kind of get evened up basically with the Niners with another game to go. And then with obviously a win over the Niners is sort of a tie-breaking advantage right there. And that helps the Cardinals situation. For the Niners in this game on Monday night, if they win, they separate themselves with the Cardinals, push them back. They're ahead of the Rams, and it's all eyes on the Seattle Seahawks, who are 6-4, and the Niners are looking dead in the eyes of the division title at that point. But if a Cardinal win, it really just jam-packs, and if Seattle happens to lose their next game, there's a jam-packed situation going on in the NFC West. Not the greatest division. It's kind of weak, but it may get better as the season goes on here in the second half of the year. And, I'm excited for that, okay? All right. Let's move on a little bit here. I want to throw this on the screen, okay? Oh, those are the games. If you want to see the scores right there, they're the scores of the recent games in Mexico itself, okay? And I just wanted to make sure you saw that. But let's see. If you're talking about top 5 quarterbacks passing yards, number 1 is Mahomes. Tom Brady is number 2. Josh Allen, number 3. There's Joey Burrow. And then there is, yes, Geno Smith, number 5 on this list. Tom Brady. Yeah, we talked about him in the season. He's still slinging it, folks. He's the old guy, he's in his 40s and got all these young pups around him. Geno's a little older. He's been around for a little bit, but there's your top 5 quarterbacks in passing yards right there. All right. If you want to poke some fun on the Buffalo Bills a little bit, they got this big game. It's going to be snowed out in Buffalo, so they're moving it over to Detroit and this weekend. So they're going to play. But the New York Jets did not forget what the Buffalo Bills did a few weeks ago. Buffalo, they announced, and I put that on the screen. Buffalo announced that they're going to, have a new stadium. They're going to have this new, beautiful situation there in Buffalo. And well deserved. They're not moving to Montreal or anywhere. It's Buffalo. They're for good. They have their quarterback, for the next 10 years. Everything is going well in Buffalo. Build it, and the Buffalo fans will always be there. And it looks fantastic, right? The stadium itself. And that's the photograph I showed you there. But I'm going to come back to that image in a second. When Buffalo displayed all their imaging, digital imaging about what it's going to look like, they put on the scoreboard in that imaging of them beating the Jets, right? It was soundly there on the screen. You can see it. When the Jets beat the Bills a couple of weeks ago, this is what they saw. If you look at it right here, this is what the Jets fans saw right there. Okay. 24-3. When the Jets won, they took that same image and they flipped it with the Jets score, the exact score the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills. A little, digital warfare, social media warfare. But I like that. That's little fun stuff going back and forth. But yeah, I don't put a team up there, right? Don't do that kind of. Even the commercials when you watch them, you like it's like a commercial I'm watching right now with Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Lockhart, and he's playing the Rams, and it's like the Rams are going to look bad in this because it's all about Lockhart and in the commercial that he's doing. We see a lot of that. It's always like the other team, and it's like, oh, you're just going to make them look bad, right? One of the teams that has made a lot of people look bad over the last couple of decades are the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it hasn't been a great year for them. They're 3-6. They're actually still in a playoff picture, and and maybe things can shape up. They haven't had a losing season in quite a long time with Tomlin. He's on a great streak, 18 seasons, something like that, 19. And this may be the year Tomlin does not get that winning season or never below 500. Well, Mike Tomlin, for you, you have finished it. You finished it. You have beaten every team in the NFL. It is an accomplishment. Yes, you have done it because you've been around a long time, but also means you've had a good team for a very long time. But you finally finished it recently, and congratulations on that too. All right. It did also help that this guy is back in the picture, T.J. Watt, and the Steelers are 6 and whatever. They don't lose with T.J. Watt. Okay, they've won one game since T.J. Watt has been injured. So they're glad to see him back. And big game between the Steelers and the Bengals. Yeah, it's the same scenario with the Niners and the Cardinals. Bengals needing a win to stay close to the Ravens at the division side of it. A loss really pulls them back into this mucky pile of wild card stuff and potentially maybe on the outside looking in. For the Steelers, you're 3-6. A win actually just kind of keeps you close to the Ravens with 2 games left with them, but also that wild card situation. And all of a sudden you're feeling a pulse back in Pittsburgh. They were supposed to play the game at night, and they flexed it to the afternoon, the late afternoon game on Sunday itself. And both teams are going to wear these uniforms, and they're still going to wear them. The all black in Pittsburgh is going to go still. The game is in Pittsburgh, and then the Bengals are going to go all white. They're going to go zebra white on us here. But the Bengals are going to do so. They're still going to go with their uniforms that they had planned for that big night, which was supposed to be, it had all the makings for a big, division game. It still is, but not the level that they were anticipating when the schedule was put out. Now, speaking of the Bengals, this is a storyline that folks, the AstroTurf or the turf on that field in Cincinnati. Okay. This is something I'm going to read it to you because you don't have to see images of it, but I do have a photo to show here in a second. This is a story that not too many people have read so far or heard about it. The NFL Players Association, the players, they have a union, sent a letter to the NFL calling out 6 stadiums having dangerous type of artificial turf, okay? Artificial grass. And Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Bengals play, is one of those stadiums. It is asking the league, the NFL Players Association, to force the owners to replace the type of turf being used, it is unclear to this point who would bear that cost, though. So the Bengals just tore up their field and dropped this one in recently. Okay, it costs like $200,000-$300,000 to drop that turf in. How about all those stadiums in high school that are using pretty similar fields, right? But there's a difference with this synthetic kind of field. Okay, there's 3 types of this artificial grass that you're seeing out there. What I want to show you, so you have an idea what this grass looks like. Okay, here it is. There are 3 versions of it. It's the monofilament, the thicker type on the left side of the screen. In the middle is the slit film, and on the far right is the hybrid of both the monofilament style thickness and this slit film. Okay, that's the far right. But the one in the middle is the one that's causing the problem, the controversy, or at least the big issue with the NFL Players Association. Okay, you can see it's thinner and causing some issues, injuries. They're complaining about injuries. This is the same turf that these 6 stadiums have. This fake artificial grass stuff and the slit film type of these stadiums who are using this type are the ones that are going to be asked, maybe forced, to switch out. The problem is who's going to pay for it. Okay. Now, donate it. I would donate this field to a local high school if this is what happens. Okay. Donate it. Give it to another high school or somewhere else. Okay. That can use a field like that. You can write that off, use it as a tax, take that, whatever break, and then apply it back in. That's one way of looking at it. Now, the remaining cost is another issue. Does the NFL have to, find a way to doing it, or do the taxpayers get? I mean, this is kind of weird stuff, but there's injuries, and the injuries are real. Okay. Furthermore, about this too, the storyline is that the NFL realizes that injuries are up on this actual turf. Okay, they realize the injuries are up on this actual turf. Okay, and the reason why is it's too thin. There's not enough grip, player, and the moisture and the changing of time of the season, things like that, or the heat. It just. But the NFL says, yeah, the numbers are up on this turf, but the numbers are owing towards ankle rolls or ankle sprains. Nothing devastating to knee blowouts and massive season ending stuff. It's more of sprains. That's what the NFL is saying. But the NFL Players Association is saying no. Those 6 fields that have that slit film artificial grass is causing more problems, and the players don't like it. They're going out there. They're timid sometimes. They can feel it, and the athlete knows it. The football player knows that. So we'll see what happens there. Big story coming out of the NFL there. We'll see how the NFL and the NFL Players Association deal with that. But I don't know if the players will get their way. There's a lot of money involved there. A lot of money involved itself. But coming up here in a little bit is Mark Mancini itself. I got comments coming in too. Appreciate it, guys, and I love the fact that you're in this with me. Yeah, Mancini is coming in still. I appreciate that, Mark. And we're going to continue on with Hanna Time here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Down below on the screen, you see all of it right there. My sponsors are coming through from left to right on your screen itself. And don't forget you can watch us and listen to it also if you want to on many platforms as we're running through the show. But the platforms you can watch it and listen on are Roku TV on ASAP Sports Network, Twitch, Global Sports, GSPN TV Sports Podcast on YouTube, the Momento Plus channel itself, Vista channel itself, and Viva Network itself, and LinkedIn and Herogotv TV. You have Instagram. There's a whole bunch of different platforms you can watch this and or just listen to it too. If you want to come on in, there's a link there also on each of one of those platforms posting of the show for you to watch. find it. It says right there, it says fans can join the show with this link. Grab that link, click on it itself, and then you can make your way in, and love to talk to you if you want to talk some sports here too. So big NFL game on tonight. We're waiting for the scores to come in. It's 7-0 Tennessee Titans over the Green Bay Packers. It's in Green Bay. Green Bay maybe having a big lift with that big win over Dallas the other day, but the Titans with a big game against, and they losing, and their Titans are on a roll. Both teams, again, we're at that point in the NFL where it's we're going to break it or shake it. Teams are going to separate themselves, or we're still going to have a big mess as we're heading into Thanksgiving week. And, and then we're knocking on December's door, man. So, you really got to figure out, can we figure out who is legitimate? Because as I'm going to break it down for you right now with the NFL too, teams right now who are going in. This is the playoff picture. This is the NFL playoff picture right now as you're looking at it, okay? There's your 1 seeds. They get a bye, first round bye, so they get a week off, all right, now. And as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, they have 1 loss, but so does the Minnesota Vikings. So that is still up for grabs. You have an undefeated season in Philadelphia, and look what happens, right? Look what happens. It doesn't matter. They're all on your doorstep, okay? The Niners would play the Vikings at this point. The Cowboys would play the Seattle Seahawks, and then Giants will play the Buccaneers. But there's a lot to be done. But what's wild about that is the NFC East. They got the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles all there. The East is the beast in the NFC, but it's also a beast in the AFC. As you look over, they got the Patriots and the Dolphins matched up. You got the Bills out there, and you got the New York Jets. So the East and the NFC and the AFC are the beast right now in the NFL. We'll see how it all shapes out. But here's the wild thing. Where is your path? Where is your path to your? If you have a team that is like 4-6, 3-7, 5-5, or 4-5, like, and you're on the outside looking in. You got a lot of teams right now with some pretty decent records. Let's start with the AFC, right? The Jets, they're 6-3, right? And they would be taking on the Ravens, right? And the Ravens, they're going to win their division. So you're not going to play the division winners, Seattle, right? The Dolphins right now are leading the AFC East. The Dolphins are. The New York Jets are also the number 2. Actually, they're in second place in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are in third place. Okay. So all the teams on the left side of that column there, Patriots, Bills, and Jets, all AFC East teams, are right now teams not winning their division. They're not in first place. Out of all those teams in the AFC, it's the Patriots who are 5-4. That if you're a wild card potential team, that's maybe the shot right there, because you have to believe the Buffalo Bills are going to succeed and move on and take care of some business here. You'd be shocked if they're the ones struggling to get in. You never know. But the New York Jets, you would think they're going to crumble, but they're on a roll, and they got so much talent. They got the best rookie class going on right now besides Seattle, and they're on fire. And I just don't think the Jets are just going away. Okay, but the Jets, the Bills, the Patriots, 5 and 6 wins there. You're only about a game, 2 games, and maybe 3 games. It is a lot off the pace. But with a lot of football left, if your team gets hot and these teams start to scrabble a little bit downward, you got a shot. The best path right now is getting past New England at 5. Now, on the NFC side of it, if you're looking at it this way, the team that you want to really knock out and chase after is the 7th seed. It's the San Francisco 49ers. And you would think the Niners are going to win that division, or at least you thought they were going to at least challenge for it, and they are. At some point, there's got to be a weak link here. So if you're a Cardinal fan, or you're one of the Cardinal players, and you know this game is of course, it's huge because you're going to be 5 and 6, and you will be right there with the Niners, the team that you're chasing, not only for a division title, besides the Seattle Seahawks, but if you're a Cardinal fan, you're looking at this board right here in front of you. You beat the Niners. That's the team you're also chasing for a wild card spot, and you just did yourself tremendous help to get yourself right in there in that playoff picture. And this whole scenario would start to look different next week. Okay. But the Cowboys, do they just fall apart? No, I don't think so. The Giants, they're 7-2. Okay. They're just one game out of first place. What I'm getting to is the NFC has a tougher path unless you're going to chase down an NFC West opponent or who's, like the Niners or maybe Seattle. We got to wait and see if Seattle can hold on to what they've done so well, but they're 6-4. Remember, Seattle is 6-4, folks, and they have to continue to win. Yes, they're having a good season and they're a good team and they've surprised all of us, but the path to the NFL playoff picture right now is as things are going and the way it looks and projects, you may get one shot to get that 7th seed. The 7th seed may be your only best shot at this point because everybody else looks like they're going to continue to be ahead of the pace and catching them will be a little bit harder. We'll wait and see. But if you're a Cardinal fan, this is another playoff type of game, just like what you did in LA and beat the Rams. You got to go to Mexico. You got to beat the Niners. And then you're right there. And everything that's happened prior to it, all the chaos, still chaotic, but you're right there, Cardinals. And this is why it's such a big game for the Cardinals on Monday night. And also for the 49ers. You cannot, ignore that at all. All right. Still moving along here. And you know what? Talking about these top teams here, are going to, 4 teams in the AFC East are above 500, right? All 4 teams in the AFC East are above 500. The first time division has been above 500 at the end of the week since of week 10 since the NFC East did it in 2016. Okay. It's the first time all 4 teams in the AFC East have been above 500 at the end of week 10 since 2006. Okay. But yeah, you're also looking at the NFC East. So just throwing those numbers out there itself, something to look at is how tough it is to go east now. You want to fly east, you want to travel east to play those teams. It's not going to be easy. Now you're in November weather, December weather. And if you're from the West Coast or anywhere warm, and you're going up against some good football teams in the East. And let's see how this shakes out a little bit. One team in the East trying to make some waves and protect themselves, picked up a nice name and a nice football player who can probably play part-time is Ndamukong Suh, who is now a Philadelphia Eagle. He signs a 1-year contract pretty much the rest of the season with the Eagles. He'll have a role play, probably pretty much first and second down or some type of part-time play. I don't think he'll be able to go full-time, but you never know. This guy's been a beast his whole career. He's been a devastating run stopper at the nose tackle spot or inside the defensive line for wherever he's been. The Rams, the Bucks, the Lions, right? He's had a pretty good run. And now the Eagles are going to give it a try. They need some depth. They're going to go for it. And that's a big breaking news story that happened, sometime earlier today. But if you weren't aware of it, Ndamukong Suh is now an Eagle, and the Eagles are going to make sure as they head towards the playoff. I'll be surprised if they don't make it with that record, but they're preparing. Depth is so big. Roster depth is so big. Injuries and things like that. And maybe some team's going to kick themselves. They didn't pick him up. He's always been a big-time player. He's tough, and he's perfect for November, December, January weather. Perfect for it. And he's a winner in a lot of ways, right? He won a Super Bowl, and he's done some great things out there, too. All right. Let's see. We're going to move along a little bit as we're flying through here. And let's see here. Let's see what I can bring you to. I got so much to show you. Okay, we talked earlier about the MVP. Okay, if you haven't joined us, the MVP was announced in Major League Baseball. Let me pop it on again. Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt are your MVPs of the American League and National League. Congratulations itself. And as baseball is now inside their off season, they have their meetings in San Diego, and there's a lot of stirring going on in free agency. And Aaron Judge is a free agent. I mean, that's big news, folks. If you're looking at who are free agents, here's your list of the top 10 players. This is any one of these guys will make a difference for your team. Aaron Judge at the top there. Jacob deGrom is a free agent. The Mets ace pitcher, you would think. Also, Trey Turner. He's won well and played well with the Atlanta Braves. played with the Dodgers last year, had a tremendous MVP type of season, and he's a free agent. He's going to ask for big dollars. Who wants him? Who's going to take him? Do the Dodgers take him back? It all starts to break apart once we know about Aaron Judge. But who's the first one to go on this list? Carlos Carrera, was with the Twins, was with the Astros, with all those cheating scandal stuff that went on. But he was a tremendous talent. He's going to ask for big dollars. If you want a shortstop, you got a couple of shortstops sitting there for you right there. Also there, Justin Verlander. He announced that he's going to test the market. He's 39 years old, coming off of Tommy John surgery. He's the Cy Young winner of the American League, and he wants to get paid. And he's got it. Why not? Why not test the market? And if the Astros cannot pay it up, somebody's going to drop a dime on him, and maybe it's somewhere in a big market too. We'll see where he ends up, and we'll see if he's still effective. Let's see here. Also, Danny Swanson of the Atlanta Braves, another great shortstop. See that there's some shortstops. If you need a shortstop in baseball next season, you may have to spend for it, but you're definitely going to get a good one. Carlos Rodon, a pitcher for the Mets. He may be on the way out. There's another big arm there. And Wilson Contreras of the Chicago Cubs. If you need a catcher, teams have been after this guy for the last couple of years. And now he's a free agent, and he's testing the market. And if you need a catcher, somebody's going to try to jump on this guy and solidify their catching position. And last one there is Brandon Nimmo from the New York Mets. The Mets got a couple of guys out there, if you haven't noticed that. Jacob deGrom, and Nimmo itself. If you're looking at across the board itself, Jake deGrom is showing that he's interested in Texas, but he's a New York Met. The Mets have 3 guys on this list right here that are potentially could be ended up somewhere else. Okay. Rendon is a Chicago White Sox, and he's projected to go to the Mets if Jacob deGrom goes to Texas. But we'll wait and see how that all plays out. So there's your baseball free agency. If you're thinking about next season itself, I want you to think about this guy right here, Pete Rose. Pete Rose will make the first bet at the Hard Rock Casino in Cincinnati on January 1st of 2023. How about this? This is awesome because, he gambled on baseball. He gambled on his team. They kicked him out. They don't want him back. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the hit king. Can anybody come close to this guy? Right? It doesn't seem like anybody's able to hit the ball in baseball. This is a record that may last as long, as one of the greatest ones of all time in the way of record breaks. It's going to be really hard to break this record for what we see. But Pete Rose, who's asked and pleaded to the commissioner's office, baseball, bring me back. I want to come back. I am sorry. He really laid it all out. He's an old man, right? And he wants to have his time. And for what you see around baseball, look at that. The Hard Rock Casino, which is at the stadium right there in Cincinnati, right? You have sports books inside the stadiums, right? It's crazy that this guy is not allowed because he gambled. Pete Rose gambled, but you're allowing the gambling everywhere now in baseball. It's such a hypocritical thing. But I love the fact that Pete Rose, in a statement, will be making the first bet in Cincinnati on January 1st. It's coming up, and maybe it's the beginning of what we'll see of him getting into the Hall of Fame, hopefully sooner than later. I like to see it. I really do. I like to see Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame, and I don't know if you agree with me. But here's another one, another hit king. There was talk that maybe this guy could have chased down the hit king, Pete Rose, is Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, I'm going to try to get this off the screen, the sponsors for a second here, okay? If you can see it right there, okay, as the lights are flashing. Derek Jeter says baseball has swung too far to analytics. You can't measure everything, he says. And that's true. Derek Jeter, who was with the Miami Marlins running their organization, he had a plan. And as you read more about this story and about metrics and the analytics of sports, how it's ruining the game. They get so fixated on the numbers, right? With people who have never played the game, but they're going to make sure that the books, the science, whatever, it's stupid. But Derek Jeter speaking out loud about the fact that he does not agree that metrics and the analytics of baseball is everything. And I agree. And that's what I said at the top of the show. Baseball, it has value, but the value they put into metrics and the analytics of this game, way too much. Baseball, football, everything. Hockey, they just go way too much, especially baseball, especially football. Okay? Now, hear me out. He said it right there, Derek Jeter. I talked about instincts, okay? He's talking about measuring. How do you measure? Derek Jeter said, how do you measure an athlete's heart, spirit, passion, knowledge, experience, instincts, right? I mean, I just named 6. You can't measure that. But they want to measure situations. And then they take this athlete and they put him in situations that they feel fits the analytics where they can perform. But what you're taking out of it is situations that the analytics cannot do. That ball player, like you telling me right now that Bryce Harper is not an instinctive baseball player, right? What we're talking about is you're going up there and you're told to do this, this, and this. Like this pitcher throws it high and he throws it down here. All right, you got the knowledge. All right, but they want you to follow it strictly. All right, even fielding wise, strictly fielding wise. Okay, everywhere about the sport. But if you're even the pitchers are going through the analytics. Okay, but there's a feel for it, right? You can look at your opponent and see something is wrong in their swing. Maybe the catcher picks up on something. Maybe their swing was late, right? Late. Maybe you have a fastball that is coming out of your hands a little bit better. Maybe something is different that the analytics cannot measure. Maybe it's the pressure. Can they measure pressure? Yeah, because there's 2 outs and you got 2 strikes and this guy performs well in that situation. But how do you measure Bucky Dent, right? Bucky Dent, right? In his moment, right? How do you measure the little guy who comes up big in the playoffs, right? Remember that's the story of all sports. Who's the surprise guy? How do you measure that guy? They don't, because they know this guy's supposed to do this, this, and that, A, B, and C. But that D and all the above, you know what? Yeah, but they also do this and this. Or they can do that. Or they rise up. Or they have a moment. You cannot measure that. There's a reason for that. Athletes, you cannot ignore the fact that an athlete can feel a situation, study a situation, be in the moment, and instinctively react to it. And that's what greatness does. You think Tom Brady is analytically all over the place? What you saw last week with Tom Brady in Munich was not analytics. It was mostly instincts, passion. It was fearless, right? It was all the things, and his intelligence, the experience, the knowledge. Okay? You can't measure that. Situational. These guys have been in situations over and over again. They've been here. Here they are again. They face this guy. Yeah, you got the book on it. Look for this, look for that. And that's all you do. But how do you react? Like, if the guy tries to throw that curveball and you're told not to swing at it, leave it alone, but he freaking hangs it. He's right over the plate and you take it for a strike. And you're like a TV, you're watching the game and you go, what? He was right down the middle. He hung it for you. And then you watch these guys, they swing, and it's like That was a lame swing. You know why? Because he sees the pitch. He's hung it. It's over the plate. He wasn't expecting it to happen that way. And then he wants to swing at it because it was like, oh, crap, it's a good pitch to hit. And now his other instinct is trying to come out, his other ability, and it's not by the book. And he looks lame. He swings and misses. He looks bad. But it was right over the middle. It was hung, or he fouled it off. Oh, he just missed it. You know what? If he wasn't studying to look for certain pitches and leave the other ones alone, his instincts and greatness could take over, and like Bucky Dent, take one over the green monster. It's simple as that. There's a moment you have to react in sports, okay? In all of sports. Baseball is really analytically just like destroying the sport. It really is. Derek Jeter, once again, speaking out about it. And it makes you wonder by Derek Jeter, too. What happened in Miami? The way they wanted to do things. Maybe those certain geeks and the general managers or whoever's running player personnel down there, there was conflict. Why is Don Mattingly? Don Mattingly was their manager. He's a good manager. He's a great baseball player. He should be in the Hall of Fame. You think he was playing off of metrics in the 1980s? No. Don Mattingly was called a hitman because he knew how to hit. He didn't rely on stuff, but he was still a batting champion, right? He was still hitting home runs. He was still greatness, MVP guy. It wasn't the metrics that made Don Mattingly great, okay? I mean, everybody goes up there with an idea what that pitcher does, and every pitcher has an idea what that batter does. And it's up to the situation of you got to make the pitch, and he's got to make the correct reaction to that pitch. Swing it or don't swing at it. And that's the beauty of the game. And Derek Jeter probably said, I had enough in Miami, and I'm gone. I'm out. I can't take it anymore. Don Mattingly, I'm out. I don't want to be here anymore. This is not the way the game is played. You're ruining it. Miami has all this talent, and they can't find a way to win. You wonder why. You wonder why certain teams are not winning. Why is like a plateau. You telling me the Philadelphia Phillies were a analytical team? No way. Their manager, historically, what he's been through, Bobby Thompson, those players are grinders, man. Right? They battle every pitch. The Phillies overcame an 87-win season to go to the World Series and were just a couple of games away from winning it all. Okay? Reaction, instincts, knowing the game, the knowledge of the game, reacting to a mistake. Get it? They can't measure that with metrics. All right. I hope you understand that part too. Talking some baseball with you. All right. Here's a story for you. And I don't know if Mancini's going to make it in. I know he's on another show, but we'll see if he can make it in on time. Here's a story for you, okay? Let me set it up for you. We got a high school golf team. I believe it's a girls' high school golf team, okay? And they're out there playing golf. And they're up to about 6 or 7 holes, maybe, the first 9. They're going through the first 9 of the 18 holes. And they start noticing a lot of high social energy and a lot of skin, a lot of flirtatious stuff going on. They're noticing there's a lot of liquor stands along every hole. And what happened was there was a tournament, not only for the golfers to play their match, high school golfers. For whatever reason, this golf course forgot or didn't care that they were having a Texas high school golf team cancel their practices and game because of a what? A strip club golf tournament. Yeah, literally. And they had to shut it down and they broke it up. What goes on? Right? I mean, you could have had it on a different day. Right? Did they forget that the high school team shows up on certain days? Embarrassment. The golf course should be very much embarrassed. So the golfers spotted the dancers hitting balls in their skeevies and, skimpy stuff. And, the inappropriate stuff that parents don't want their daughters to see. And a head coach of the golf team made the right decision to pull his players off and get them out of there. But, they saw a lot. They saw a lot. So a strip club golf tournament interferes with a high school golf team on a golf course in Texas. There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, moving along. Speaking of strippers, probably the mecca of strippers is Las Vegas. Okay, and they're going to get a lot of work as sport teams are showing up. It's a mecca of sports now, right? And when there's a big sporting event, all the strippers come in, all the escorts come in, right? This is where the dollars are, right? It's there's another event where an international, not only the Super Bowl is going to be there next year, in 2024, Formula One racing is going to be in Vegas. The MGM is to build a grandstand over the Bellagio fountains. Literally going to be over the fountains with the fountains right behind them. Not going to take out the fountains themselves and shut them down, but it's going to be overlapping the water of Bellagio. That big grandstand that you see right there, okay? That looks like it could be pit row right there, by the way. But anyway, they're going to build this one Las Vegas Grand Prix Formula One. Tickets will cost nearly $3,000. $3,000 in Vegas for the Grand Prix Formula One in Las Vegas. And you got to check it out. Be prepared for it. But it's going to be a big one. It's an international city because of all the people who want to come there and see and check it out. But those strippers will show up too. But Las Vegas, yes. And speaking of racing, there's another comeback. Jimmy Johnson, JJ is coming back. Jimmy Johnson, through Motor Authority, has announced that his retirement is over. He's going to return to NASCAR and race again. His motives have not been mentioned completely. He will not be a full-time driver. So Jimmy Johnson says he's going to come back. He's going to be a part-time driver next season for NASCAR. And just maybe he can get number 9. He has 8 titles, right? 8 titles, NASCAR titles. And he's a legend as it is. Still fairly young, and maybe he can find one more victory to pad that legendary status of his. But Jimmy Johnson, number 48, the 48 car, is coming out of retirement and returns to NASCAR. It's going to be driving part-time next season. So congratulations to any NASCAR fans who are big Jimmy Johnson fans. Your guy is coming back, and you get to see him one more time. And speaking of more global sports, and as we know here, Global Sports Broadcasting Network, the biggest global sporting event has arrived. It's about to start, is the World Cup of Soccer. The World Cup of Soccer. Here is the United States Group B, England, Iran, USA, and Wales. I like it. I like USA. England's a really good soccer team. They've come a long way, and they're going to be reckoned with. Okay, Iran is always a good soccer country itself. USA is on the up and up, and Wales itself always a good one. USA first opponent is Wales on the 20th. And you got to come out of your bracket. You got to come out of the Group B with some points to advance, okay? We'll see what happens. This is a very, I thought, favorable situation for United States, who are trying to regain some type of excitement with World Cup soccer. They did not make it the last one. They were eliminated and never got to the World Cup. Now they're back. They have young, enthusiastic, great young talent that a lot of people are not aware of. They're not aware of them. But the USA men's soccer team and the World Cup get started, and they take on Wales on November 20th. And I'm excited. We're going to be talking a lot of World Cup. The games will start like around 1 or 2 in the morning, something crazy like that. If you're a big sports fan, I think it's something like 3 in the morning on the East Coast, maybe like 1 in the morning here in the West Coast itself, but it's in Qatar in the Middle East, and still don't know why. I don't know why it's in the Middle East still. All that terrorism stuff. It's just kind of weird and politically incorrect in a lot of ways, but it's there. Hopefully everything goes well. I hope things are safe. I hope things are just not stupid. And but we're excited about it to see what goes down in the Middle East at Qatar. The World Cup 2022 is here, and they're all doing their exhibition games this week all across, all across this country, all across the world. Countries are playing friendly soccer games, but we'll see what happens. But ironically, FIFA leadership speaking out, and there's something about why did you do this? Blatter, FIFA's leader, one time he says picking Qatar as World Cup host was a mistake. There he is holding the winner of the 2023 World Cup location, Qatar, with the World Cup trophy there in front of him. Mr. Blatter himself, and among his other colleagues voting in Qatar, is now saying it was a mistake. A mistake. I mean, yes, they had struggles getting the stadiums ready. There was tourism with the hotels and stuff, but also the political side of it. There's a lot of pressure. Don't know how and who took money. Remember FIFA and the Olympics itself were being paid with boats and beautiful luxury things from countries, from presidents or whoever it was, to get them to say yes to their country to have hosting, say, the Olympics or the World Cup. Big scandal. Don't forget this. A couple of years back, there was a big scandal about this. And I'm sure this happened again. A lot of money in the Middle East, right? And what was thrown at them? What was given to them, right? A harem of women, a couple of big, 800-foot yachts, right? Your private jet, and this is how it worked. If you don't recall, there were these men running FIFA, running the Olympics, right? But we're talking World Cup for this reason. We're asking for stuff. Okay, but you got to give me something. Money, whatever we wanted. They were being bribed. And it was political. Just like what you have in your own governments. But Blatter, for some reason, spoke up and kind of threw themselves under the bus, or maybe he had enough of what he has seen over the last, decades of this corruption that we've been witnessing and watching, and now we know more about it. We watch our governments go through it, and we're not happy about it, but it's all over the world, globally, corruption in their governments, and getting paid and getting, bribed in many ways to pass bills and pass things through government, Well, why not the World Cup? Why not getting your location? It makes me wonder when the World Cup comes to America, to the Americas, South America, North America. It's going to be in Canada. It's going to be in Mexico. It's going to be in the United States and these cities. Did anybody in these cities take a bribe? Because I'm sitting here going, how the freak did Phoenix, Arizona not get the World Cup? We got an indoor grass stadium that hosts international play every year, not just once or twice, always having international play. They have a tournament here, right? I don't get it. How even Phoenix got blown away from this. Somebody's taking bribes here in the Americas for their city. There are a couple of places in the Americas in the next World Cup where I'm like, how the heck did they get the World Cup in their city? Somebody's taking bribes here. And I don't know how Arizona did not get it. I am baffled still to this day, because they've proven themselves over the last couple of decades that this is, and since they have the stadium, a dome, indoors, it's summertime. Yeah, it's hot. Guess what? The World Cup is in Qatar, right? It's November, right? You could have adjusted it to where you can have it, but it's an indoor arena. The fans are not going to get, it's a stadium. It's a dome. It's State Farm Stadium. They play football games in there. You watch it all the time. They got a Super Bowl in there. Okay? It's mind-boggling. Yeah, I'm from Arizona. I'm living here. But I'm stunned by it. Absolutely stunned by it. It doesn't make sense. Somebody took bribes. And the fact that Qatar has the World Cup, how does that make sense with terrorism and political stuff and everything going around it? It's mind-boggling. All right. As we're winding down the show, we're going to keep an eye on that football game. It's still a close game, and 7-6. Green Bay is down by 1. They're heading towards the end of the second quarter, towards halftime, and it's a close, tough game. It's very cold in Green Bay. All right, and I'm going to go through this a little bit more with you. Some more storylines, I should say, with you too. So with the NFL, and I have a lot for you. All right, let me go through this last part of the NFL as you prepare for Week 11 of the NFL. Here are some numbers and some stats for you to think about, and a little FYI stuff if you're a big NFL fan and a love of football. Players with at least 2 sacks in the most consecutive games since 1982. At the bottom of the list is Justin Houston. The veteran is on a streak right now. He's on a 3-game streak of 2 or more sacks in a game. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember that? He's played a couple of teams, Justin Houston. Reggie White, he did it 4 times. He's number 4 on the list. Kevin Green is tied for first. He has 5 consecutive games with San Francisco and the Carolina Panthers, right? He also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Anaheim Rams, or Los Angeles Rams, right? It's where they played in Anaheim. Played for the Rams also. But he did it 5 consecutive games in between 2 seasons. All right. Number 1 on the list is Simeon Rice. Former Arizona Cardinal, Phoenix Cardinal, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He did it with Tampa for 5 games in a row. There is that little list for since 1982. There's your little streak going on. Players with an interception in the most consecutive games since 1970. Right now, currently on that pace to break it or possibly break it is C.J. Gardner of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has 5 games in a row with a consecutive streak of interceptions. Trevon Diggs is number 1 at 6 games, but also Brian Russell at 6 games. Doug Evans, 6 consecutive games. Barry Wilburn, 6 consecutive games. Lester Hayes, 6 consecutive games. Eric Harris with 6. Lamar Paris with 6. And Mel Blount of the Pittsburgh Steelers with 6. He's got a shot to break the record of 7 straight games. He's got to first get to 6, and then we'll see if he can get to 7 the following week. But out of all those names being mentioned, Trevon Diggs is special. We're watching. He's a current player for the Dallas Cowboys, so he's a very special one. We're going to see how he turns out the rest of his career. All these names are nice names, and they're on the NFL, but none of them really became Hall of Famer-like. The only Hall of Famer on this list is Mel Blount, who is considered the greatest cornerback in NFL history. And he is. He's the greatest one. And he was way ahead of his time. And he was like a linebacker playing cornerback, but he was fast, just like a cornerback. He had speed, size, physicality. But he's the only Hall of Famer out of that list. It's pretty ironic. So how much weight can you put into that other than just one guy on that list is a Hall of Famer? Teams with Lester Hayes, he's not a Hall of Famer, but we definitely know Lester Hayes was one of the great ones at one point. Teams with the most consecutive games with at least 200 rushing yards since 1950 within one season. Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers of 72. That was a great year for them with running game. The 49ers, they did it 6 times. The Steelers of 72 did it 7 times. The Chicago Bears are on the current pace. They're number 3 on that list. They are 5 consecutive games of 200 yards rushing total. Now, a lot of that is a lot about their quarterback, right? These teams that I've mentioned that are not the Chicago Bears didn't have a running quarterback style kind of play, okay? The 51 49ers, yeah, not, a different style of play, a lot of run, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, Terry Bradshaw wasn't running around a whole lot. Yes, he scrambled, but he had Franco Harris in that mix of it. The Pittsburgh Steelers of 1976. You had Rocky Bleier and Franco Harris, and both those guys had 1,000 yards rushing in one season. They were the first combo running backs, legitimate running backs, to have 1,000 yards rushing in one season. And the Miami Dolphins of 1975, another one with Kick and Larry Zonka. Okay, Buffalo Bills with O.J. Simpson. And I'm trying to think of the other running back, his co-partner, a great blocker. Oh, my mind's blank. I'm sorry. But the 73 Buffalo Bills with O.J. had 5 consecutive games of 200-plus rushing yards. Chicago Bears did it again, 1956. A great year for them. But right now, the current Chicago Bears team is on pace to tie the 49ers at 6 total consecutive games. And if they can get there, they'll be at second place with now a chance to even it up at 7 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, more news. Players with the most combined passing and rushing yards. Okay, well, when you think about quarterbacks, okay, you think about them throwing the ball and running the ball. Okay, combined numbers. Okay, for their first 10 games of the season. In 2013, with the Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning leads his category with 3,545 yards in first 10 games of the season. Following that is Andrew Luck, Dak Prescott, Drew Brees, and then there's Josh Allen. Josh Allen, okay? So Josh Allen, yeah, he runs more. And Dak Prescott does run a little bit too. This is a category where eventually, I don't know how long Peyton Manning can hang on to it, but he's mostly Peyton Manning's not running the football. You know that. We'll see how that plays out. Here's another one with quarterbacks that makes your head scratch a little bit. Players with the most combined passing and rushing touchdowns in their first 5 seasons of NFL history. First 5 seasons, right? Most combined passing and rushing. So we just went with the first consecutive games, 10 games of a season. Now we're going to go 5 seasons, consecutive seasons. At number 1 is Dan Marino. The guy just threw the lights out of the ball. Yeah, Dan wasn't running the football. From 83 to 87, he was the greatest quarterback I've ever witnessed. And to this day, I still say he's the greatest quarterback ever. The things that he did back then, and he would do this today and rip it apart another hole. You know what I'm saying? Dan Marino, to me, is the greatest quarterback ever to play in the NFL. And that's why he's on that list as number 1. Cam Newton wasn't tearing it up with his arm, that's for sure. Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he's tearing it up with his arm, and ever so often he'll take off, but he's legit. To me, Patrick Mahomes not necessarily reminds me of Dan Marino, but he's doing what Dan Marino did in his time. Patrick Mahomes was embarrassing people in the current times. And then Josh Allen. Here's his name again. Josh is making a big statement. He's got to win some games, and he's got to start winning some playoff games for this to really shake loose. But Josh Allen is number 5 on that list. Actually, number 4 on that list of quarterbacks with first 5 seasons. Their first 5 seasons in the NFL of a combined passing and rushing touchdowns, that is, okay? All right. Let's move on. Players with the most receiving yards in their first 3 seasons in the NFL history. Most receiving yards. All right, we got Randy Moss. Fantastic. We know that one. Odell Beckham. He's on that list. And number 3 on that list, and still going with 4,076 yards, is Justin Jefferson. Right now, the hottest player of the week of the NFL, wide receiver. Had an outrageous, great game against the Buffalo Bills last week, and their great comeback win and historic win. It was one for the books, you know. Justin Jefferson is number 3 on that list, and it doesn't surprise me because of the way he's been playing all season long for the Minnesota Vikings. And if you can control him and slow him down, you got a great chance of beating the Vikings. If you don't, you experience what the Vikings felt last week on the road. The Vikings beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, and Jefferson had a big part of that. All right. As we're going to close it out for you, I got to bring this on, and I'm real proud and happy to see this. I mentioned at the beginning of the show. This is the Phoenix Suns memorable Native American celebration jersey of Native Americans here in Arizona. For what we know, and I know this is the first time I've seen this on an NBA team. The jersey itself, it replicates the colors, the turquoise color of stones is very popular with the Native American itself, but the orange and the coloration of it all, the feathers that you may see on their uniforms and their logo itself is 22 feathers, which represents the 22 nations, tribes of Arizona living here in Arizona, the 22 of them. And Arizona Phoenix Suns last night wore those uniforms. They won in those uniforms. If they keep winning in those uniforms, keep playing in those uniforms. I have photographs of them in their shorts itself and other things, but everything about the uniform has a symbolic, not only message, but reflection of the 22 tribes, Native Americans tribes here in Arizona itself. And real proud and happy to be part of that, living in Arizona, as I have a very close, fond love for our natives here in Arizona. But I want to see the other states, the other cities that have NBA teams and NFL teams, or Major League Baseball or whatever, or have you, to start to recognize this more. Have a day. Okay. If but the sad thing about it is, once you get started, once you get started on this, it's like the origination of their uniform starts to get lost. But this is one that you have to accept. If you disagree on this one, but I really don't want to see the Italian one, or the German one, and the Middle East one, like, at some point you got to stop. But if there's one uniform that needs to have its celebration for their recognition, for everything about America itself, to show the love of our Native Americans all across our beautiful country in the United States. This was nice to see. It was awesome to see. We knew about this a week ago, but I was waiting for the Suns to play their game. It was last night, and it's fantastic itself to see it. I want a jersey. I want this jersey. I don't have a Phoenix Suns jersey, but I'll be proud to wear this one because it represents more than the Phoenix Suns. It represents the 22 tribes of Native American tribes here in Arizona itself. And I think it's great. I want the number of 22. I don't want the number 1. I want the number 22 on it. That also signifies the 22 tribes here, Native American tribes here in Arizona itself. So applaud. Good job, Phoenix Suns, and the Native American tribes itself that made this happen. And fantastic. They love their basketball too. You go anywhere on the reservations, anywhere, they got basketball gyms, tournaments. They're devoted, one of the biggest basketball fans that you'll ever find. And they do not get recognized that way at all. We hear about, I'm a New Yorker. We hear about our New Yorker people who love basketball and know the sport well. We hear about the inner city people who love basketball and all, but you never hear about the Native Americans. You never hear about how they love the sport and how they play it year round. They play it year round. Okay. So let's give it up for them. And, something that will always never be forgotten is those Native Americans and everything else about their history too. So, all right. Love you guys too. All right. So I think I captured everything itself. If you want to replay the show, if you missed anything, please do so. Share it if you can. Let me get this off the screen. There we go. All right. I'm back on. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here, and we're going to finish off the second half of the Packers-Titans game. Our next show will be Monday night. Cardinals in San Fran in Mexico. We will be at JJ's Grub Shack in Mesa with Cardinal fans watching the game on the big screen. Yeah, it'll be late into the night, but hey, we got to watch this game, okay? We got to find the music up. That means we're out. We're going to finish it off. And see you Monday night on Hanna Time, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Hey, guys, don't forget, all the platforms, read across the bottom of the screen, all my sponsors again. I want to thank them one more time before we head out here. My sponsors itself is JJ Grub Shack here in East Mesa, Arizona itself. Meadow One Stable Coin. Also, Dr.REDDY, gastrologist and liver specialist in Maricopa County here in Arizona. WB Lodge in Pine Top, Arizona. The book itself, A Peaceful War, on Amazon. And Jeed, Conscious Active Wear Balance. Your emotion centers, hydration, crystals, and chakra targeting design. You want to shop at Geed.com. Look it up there. It's on the screen. It's also in the post itself, and also across the board on Viva Network, Tiki TV, Herogotv TV, LinkedIn, GSPN, TV Sports Podcast on YouTube, and also on YouTube is Roku TV on ASAP Sports Network, Twitch, and Facebook Live, Memento Plus, and Instagram. And did I say LinkedIn? Yeah, maybe I did. But there you go. Hanna Time's everywhere. You're everywhere. I love you guys. And man, did anybody say hi? I'm going to miss you guys. I'm so sorry. Elizabeth, Todd, Steven, Dino. If the Cardinals don't win in New Mexico, it's going to be forget Taco Tuesday. Forget Taco Tuesday the next day, right? No, there's nothing left to talk about. You're right. It's over, I would think. Kathy in the house. Hey, Kathy. Elizabeth Fielder, Stephen Harris. Lisa in the house. Vince. Hey, Motley Crue put out the best material. When Tommy Lee split with... Oh, man, the movie. I still watch that Tommy and Pam show. I think it was on Hulu or something. That was one great show. I don't know if you watched it there. My God, that was a great show. Kind of hot, too. A lot of hot scenes in that one. All right, Vince, man, I love you. They had a great marriage and chose football over the wife. End of game. You're right. Who else is in the show here tonight? Lions suck, he says. Detroit fans, get a winner. David Robles down in Tucson. How you doing, my friend? Glad I get to see you, man. Come back up. I don't know if you want to come up for a Monday night game, Cardinals and Niners, but JJ Grubshack. But hey, David's been there twice already, hanging out. Ron Sanchez, I love you, man. Let's see here. Richard Moreno, Todd Helston's in the house, Tim Romain in the house, John O'Graham in the house. How you doing, buddy? Australia, the Aussie. And last one not least, Colt McCoy is the choice of the remainder of the season. If the Cards win tonight, the Cards want to win on Monday night. The guy is the best West Coast quarterback in the game, Colt McCoy. Look at the Vince. Man, Vince is putting it out there. We'll see Monday night if he can repeat that. The Cards need him. They win this game with Cardinals on Monday night. They are in the thick of things in the NFC West, and the wild card chase is on. And maybe they can flip the second half of the season stereotype, negativity, loserville crap that we've heard the last couple of years here in Arizona with the Cardinals. Maybe it's flipped, but they got to prove it, and they got to do it on Monday Night Football in Mexico. All right? I'm not going to eat one taco until the Cardinals win. All right, guys. Love you. Music's there. Hanna Time. Cornelius Brad Hanna. We're out. Love you guys. See you Monday night.